Okay, so the most frequent question I get is always about mortars. What kind of mortar? What's the mortar made of? Where do you get your mortars? What size are they? What color should I get? Etc. So today we're going to answer all those questions in one video. The first kind of mortar is a cardboard mortar, which I don't have in front of me. Normally a cardboard mortar comes with a ball shell kit. Here's a ball shell. Normally you'll get, let's say, 12 ball shells and you'll get one cardboard mortar. Normally the cardboard mortars you don't want to use for more than the 12 shots. Normally they break down after those 12 shots, so you want to get rid of them. The next type of mortar is fiberglass, which I have right here. Normally they're black or yellow, and they generally come with canister shell kits. I believe this was the Big Pro shells. I'm not sure which this one was from. Okay, so fiberglass mortars last a lot longer than cardboard mortars. You can normally save them, use them year after year. You can see these two were originally attached to a base and they actually busted off, but the mortar itself is still fine. So I'm actually going to build a rack and put all the fiberglass ones in there. The third type of mortar is Hdpe, or high density polyethylene. Now these are the colors right here in front of me. I'm sure there's more colors. These are just the 5 colors I have: orange, black, red, white, blue. A lot of times you'll get high-density polyethylene mortars with other shell kits. For instance, Excaliburs come with them. I know the Trilogy triple break shells come with them, and a couple other ones come with them as well. And normally when you're buying extra mortars to build racks, you want to get the high-density polyethylene. Okay, so now that we talked about 3 kinds of mortars, we're going to talk about which ones you should buy if you're trying to build racks. Normally when you buy a shell kit, you'll get enough mortars that you'll be fine to shoot all those shells off. But as you progress and become a bigger pyro, you're going to want to buy more mortars and build some mortar racks. So I recommend getting the high-density polyethylene, the Hdpe mortars. Why? They actually last longer than the fiberglass. Even though the fiberglass lasts a long time, once you use it over and over again, they'll start to break down. The high-density polyethylene tubes are actually meant to last a lifetime, and the company that makes them actually says they're supposed to last 100 years. Now, after each show, no matter what kind of mortar you're using, you should always inspect your mortars. You should always look to make sure that there's no cracks in them, to make sure the plug is still intact. If the plug is ever cracked or you see something's wrong with it, just replace it. You can buy replacement plugs at pyrodirect.com. I'll put the link in the description. Okay, so then you're going to buy mortars. Let's say you're going to buy the Hdpe mortars. Now, a lot of people ask what size. There's the DR9 and the DR11. The difference between those two is the interior diameter of the mortar, which is right here. The DR9s are meant for they're meant for smaller shells. This is a festival ball. You can see that this is a DR11 tube. See how much room is left around the festival ball? That's why you probably don't want to put a festival ball in the DR11 mortars. That's why you'd probably want to get DR9 for festival balls. But if you're expanding your hobby and you're buying mortars and building racks, normally you're not going to be using much festival balls anyway. You're normally going to move into the ball shell or into the canister shell. So then you're going to want to buy the DR11 mortars. And a lot of people ask, will Excaliburs or other canister shells fit in the DR11 mortars? Yes, they'll fit perfectly fine. This is a Excalibur shell, and you can see it fits nice and snug right in the DR11 mortar. This is a standard ball shell that you'd get. It's bigger than the festival ball. There's a little bit of room, but it'll still shoot just fine out of a DR11 mortar. Okay, so now that we decided DR11 mortars, you want to decide on 12-inch or 15-inch. All these in front of me are actually 12-inch. Now, a lot of people say that a 15-inch mortar, you'll get more height out of the shell. Like when the shell leaves the tube, it'll go higher in the air. That's really not proven. And, I could take 2 of the exact same shells, shoot them out of the exact same mortar, and one of them might go higher than the other. There's always a little bit of variation in there. So to buy a 15-inch mortar just because you say it goes higher is really not a reason to buy it. So what's the advantage of a 12-inch mortar? Well, first off, 12-inch mortars are cheaper. It's not a whole lot, normally about 10 cents per mortar, but let's say you're buying, 50 mortars, that's $5. You're buying 100 mortars, that's $10. So it'll add up really quickly. The second advantage of 12-inch versus 15 is 12-inch. I mean, if you have a 50-shot rack, even a 30-shot rack, those can be really heavy. These tubes, plus the plugs, plus the rack itself weighs a lot. So 3 inches extra on each of these shells, each of these mortars, that's a lot of extra weight that you really do not want to carry around. So having the 12-inch will also cut back a lot of weight from your mortar racks. Okay, so the last thing about 12-inch versus 15-inch. So here we have the mortar in front of us. we'll drop down Excalibur Shell. Now the Excalibur shells have pretty long fuses, but if you add 3 inches to that, that only gives you about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches left to work with. And when you're only working with this much room to fuse up a whole mortar rack, that's a lot less leeway you have. And so it's in a lot of the ball shells normally have smaller fuses. I'm not sure about this one. You can see it's a little bit smaller, so then you have even less room to work with. So having the 12 inches over the 15 will give you more room to work with when you're fusing up mortars. Okay, so the last thing we got to address is the color. Now, it does not matter what color you get. You can see I have 5 different colors here in front of me. They all are exactly the same. They all work the same. They all look the same. They all weigh the same. They're all going to last the same amount of length. So the reason why I have so many orange ones, if you're ever watching my other videos, is because when I bought them at the time, the orange was cheaper. That's the only reason I bought 100 orange mortars. Other than that, the colors is completely, it doesn't matter. Now, a lot of people say the black mortars, you know, they kind of blend in at night, where orange, white, and blue will probably stand out a lot better. So, you know, you're trying to find your racks in the middle of the night or after cleanup, whatever, you don't have the proper lighting, it's going to be a lot easier to find these. And, you know, I've heard other people say that they like to get different colors so they can color coordinate. So all your blacks could be, let's say, all the blacks are black mamba shells, and all the orange are Excaliburs, and then, you know, triple break shells, double break shells, ball shells. You know, you could do that or however you want. So, you know, like I said, I bought all the orange ones because they were cheaper at the time, but I have no problem buying a whole bunch of different colors just so I can color coordinate. And, you know, having the patriotic colors, you can see right here, the 5-shot rack I got from Pile Direct. It's got red, white, blue mixture. That's patriotic for us people that live in America. So the color is completely your preference. Okay, so now that we've covered everything about mortars, we're going to go ahead and shoot something off, because what would a video be without shooting something off?